Wow, 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 wow. They voted, the people have voted to leave. And I watched all night long. I have to hold on while I say this. I was watching a couple shows, but flipping back and forth to watch the votes. And the news channel that I was watching was CNN. CNN. Oh, I said it. Oh, God. And the whole time, every single time, it was neck and neck. The exit votes were a little bit higher. Now it's tied. Now the Remain votes are a little bit higher. Holy cow, it's the first time we've seen this tonight. Paul or whoever, And the funny thing was, every time one of these, provinces or cities or what have you, there's 388 of them. And it would show you, 39 are checked in, 40, 41, it's going up. Every time that there was one of these, we'll call them cities, that checked in, and they were reporting that the Remain votes had won it. I found it very interesting that I cannot recall at least 2.5 hours of me watching this off and on, that I ever switched over, we're going straight to, Liverpool or, wherever, some weird city or town you never heard of. And, the Remains have it. The Remains have won. Okay, back to what we were saying. And then, a little bit later, excuse us, another one's checking in. The Remains have it. Every chance they got on the media to push the Remains look good, or they used it all night long. And they've had these people on TV, we've got someone from the Remain crowd, this gentleman, and this other gentleman from the Stay crowd, or the Exit crowd, and, constantly trying to, look like it was fair and balanced, but it, again, I was like the only part where they let someone from the Exit side actually talk. And right before the voting, the UKIP leader, Nigel Farage, already has conceded that it appears that they're going to lose and that the Remains will have it. Thinking to myself, Nigel Farage said that? He's the guy you've seen on YouTube, the politician that's like, holy crap, get him, yeah, get him. Every time you watch one of his videos. Talking about the European Union, these unelected bureaucrats, and this bailouts, and all this, nailing them. He's already conceded defeat, and the voting hasn't even started? That's strange. And then by the time it was like 288 had counted, and the exit vote had won, he was already celebrating as if this is over, it's game over, we actually won. And again, every time during that process, they would show, they would take special effort and show you one of these, again, cities or what have you that voted, and it was like 65 to 35, or 70 to 30 with the Remain votes. Those are yes, and what does our stats show that it should have been? That's actually showing better than expected. Even though it was expected to win, 70 to 30 was unexpected. It wasn't expected to be that high. Oh, you mean the old unexpectedly such and such? Oh, interesting. For each time they said something like that, maybe 8 times, you might get one time of them saying something similar about the leave votes. Again, CNN. So I look at, silver right now. Well, first let's start with the market. The pre-markets, right? They're not open yet. S&P's down 3.78%, NASDAQ 3.74%, Dow Jones down 3.03%, which is 543 points. And interestingly enough, actually, which I would have thought should not even be affected by this Brexit vote. For one thing, it doesn't even actually take place, supposedly, from what I read, for 2 years. They don't have to invoke Article 50, David Cameron stepping down. I will, as I promised, I'll step down, but I'm going to leave the Lisbon Treaty out to my next predecessor. Oh, you mean you could have started it? Yes, but I'm going to leave it to the next guy. And as I said, this is a non-binding vote. The people could get completely screwed by the politicians and say, well, you know what, we just how we're going to stay. But we have 2 years for this to take effect. Why are the markets crashing down right now? Oh my God, markets are... They've got 2 years. Just because they spoke, you've got 2 years to get out of the market. You got 2 years for the market to react. Oh, the pound has fallen to a 1.36. We have not seen numbers like that for at least 10 years. The lowest it has gone was 1.38. We are now 1.36. This is the largest drop in 10 years based on... Boy, were they pumping the look at what happened in the market because of you guys voting last night. But again, of all things not being affected by this, shouldn't the bank, the too big to fail bank stock, not really be bothered by this? These are just their banks. Interesting. Newmont Mining Corp up 7.3%. Wow, good for you, Newmont. Bank of America down 8.19%. Citigroup 8.19%. Freeport, well, I don't even know who that was. Phillips 66. What the? 6.33%. Wells Fargo 6%. I wonder if see if I can do a little search for JP Morgan stock. I'm assuming it's JPM. One of my favorite banks in the whole world, JP Morgan. And not going quick enough. Let's go, CNN. And survey says any day now, CNN. And you're fired. Google JP Morgan stock. Oh, here we go. What? JP Morgan Chase up 2.14%. How about Goldman? Goldman Sachs. We can't leave the vampire squid out. I mean. Oh, hang on. I may have to retract that. They're showing yesterday's rise, up 3% yesterday. Pre-market down 7%. Down 7%, and yep, JP Morgan down 6.79% pre-market. They were up 2.14% yesterday. Sorry about that. Now, out of all curiosity, which, spoiler alert, I've already looked, I wonder what gold and silver did. Gold, again, pre-market trading. Markets haven't even opened. And we might find today that the club has to do a number on them to show you that gold and silver are not thermometers of financial events when they should be. And you would expect them to rise drastically like they did last night. But when we open our markets at 8:30, they're going to crash. Or we could actually see more of the same, which is a big giant rise. Silver has passed $18 an ounce. It is now $18.01. It's up 67 cents. 3.86% increase. Gold, on the other hand, 4.8% increase, up $60 and 22 cents to $1,317.50. Now, I want to just say something. You do know, because I've said it 400 times in your ears, November 2014, CME Group that runs the COMEX market put in that little rule that the circuit breaker rule, that if silver, we'll start with silver, moves $3 during the day when it's trading in a window of time, circuit breakers are triggered, can't buy, can't sell, they gotta let the market cool off. Time's up, starts again. Does it again, $3, same thing happened. This can happen 4 times in a trading session for a day's trading, which simply equates to $12 in total of a move. Oh, that's absurd, that's crazy. Oh, okay, I don't know if I'd say that if I were you. Gold, on the other hand, same thing, 4 times a day, etc., except that one is $100 for each move, $400 for the day. Circuit breakers will be triggered after each $100 move. I just said gold has moved $60, which is more than 50% of 100, right? 60% essentially, right? It is 60% of the way of triggering a circuit breaker. Potentially, I should say. Because there's a window of time and all that stuff. But the markets haven't even really opened. This is the access or pre-market trading. And again, I understand and know if the club doesn't want this to happen, it won't happen. They'll just, put the squeeze down on gold and silver, a managed retreat if they need to, or a managed leveling off where it can't rise too much more during the day, etc. They can do whatever the hell they want to do. Never, ever, ever count that out. However, since they did put this rule in place in November 2014, the CME Group, which had never been done in the entire commodities market community, system period ever, that told me immediately then, and I talked numerous times about this, that they're not doing that. They didn't just put those rules in place to save the poor sap, you and I, from getting completely cleaned out on a wild swing down in price of any precious metal, gold or silver or what have you. They didn't just do that to save you because they feel bad all of a sudden. They want to normally let you get crushed so that you never, ever, ever even think about getting into the gold and silver market ever again. That's what they want to do to you, which is why they let the price rise to $50 silver, $1,900 gold, 2011, rapidly, very rapidly as a matter of fact, and then pulled the rug out from underneath you so that you never get any bright ideas like that again. And a strange thing happened. The bright ideas kept coming, and people kept doing it. And to this day, we have been breaking records in precious metals sales. And as I said earlier this year, just like last year, broke records, the year before broke records, as far as Silver Eagle or just silver sales, whatever. I already said this year was off to a very good start. And now that this has happened, halfway through the year, literally at the halfway point, I don't think in any way, shape, or form we're going to see some kind of turnaround and people stop buying precious metals. You saw the price today. Silver's up 61, 62 cents. Gold's up $60. And as I said, The circuit breaker is $100. I don't know the exact. I think it's within like a 15-minute window or something that it has to happen in. So again, in all fairness, it didn't hit. It wasn't up $60 in 15 minutes, but it was rising pretty rapidly last night. Either way, so that's 60% of its way to hitting the first, potentially hitting the first circuit breaker. So for anyone who thought this was absurd, even though the CME group changed the rules to add this, they've never done that before. They only did it, as I've explained numerous times, so that the rapid rise of precious metals doesn't go super out of control. They have to manage it to some extent, so let's put in circuit breakers so they cannot rise that fast and go apeshit. So my question would be, since these are the smartest guys in the room running these things, it's Princeton, Harvard, Yale, why didn't you think of that, 30 years ago? I'm just thinking out loud. 30 years ago would have been nice. You've seen the same stuff you see now. They are preparing for the unbelievable rise in precious metals. And if this one little old country, UK, Britain, leaves the UK out of 28 member nations, minus one now, 27, can cause this kind of turmoil in all the markets and bank stocks and everywhere's red except for precious metals by chance. And even Bitcoin didn't scream higher. It just didn't really do too much, but it wasn't like down or anything. If one country can do this, you have to understand something. All night long, as I mentioned, not only are they trying to push, the remains have 70% of it, better than expected. And at the same time, once they realized, because I can see it, there was the one lady at CNN, and she had this other guy who would sometimes stand up, walk over to the right, and there's a little screen over there, and he'd show you some of the precincts or whatever, and this one voted that way, and he'd go back, sit down with her, and he said, oh yeah, the pound's falling off a cliff. Well, I wouldn't say it's falling off a cliff. It's down nearly 6%. Well, yeah, but that's not a cliff. Well, he said, it's done that in the last hour, he says. He's like, it's done it in the last hour. Well, yeah, okay. Let's not talk about bad markets, But then on the other hand, once they realized the exit votes are going to get it, which was way before it was the total 388 had come in, voting areas. It was well before that. It was like not even 300 yet, and they'd already said it's over. We already know because we know who's left that hasn't counted, and we pretty much know how they think, what they're going to be voting. It's over. Which, by the way, was almost a 51-49, 52-48. But once they realized we lost, and I say we as in the club because that's all the mainstream media and everyone else, the news is pushing. When they realized they lost and that they're going to be exiting the EU, that's when they started pushing again. At this point, the markets are not reacting good to this, and the pound's falling, and tomorrow's going to be a really, really, really bad day for all stock markets across the world. It's not going to be good. From one member nation, hold on. The UK didn't just get a nuclear bomb dropped on it and fell off the face of the earth. The people didn't just vanish. The jobs, everything there didn't just vanish. It's all still there. Not only that, it's still going to be there, but not only that, you've got 2 years essentially for this thing to be done and full and gone out of the EU. So what does this mean? This means that the club is showing you the chaos that we warned you about would happen is now happening. When in fact, they could do what they've done this whole time. Rig the markets, can't let it rise too fast, can't let it fall too fast. Anything that starts dropping too rapidly, we just pump it back up. How many times did you see a rapid fall in the market of any market? Any market at all? And then all of a sudden it rebounds. You remember the 1,000-point drop in the Dow? oh my God, it came out of nowhere, 1,000 point, and then it rebounds, wiping off 600 points of the loss to only losing, it was like 200 something, 300 points. It wiped off 600-700 points back the other way. Come on. All these markets are rigged. We know this. We know this. And there would even be a good argument to say, it's not a bad idea to do it for stability purposes, because then somebody, some big player like a George Soros or so, could go out there, corner a market, and make tons of money pushing the market up or down, whatever they choose, by buying the lion's share of those stocks and then flooding the market and selling them if they wanted to short it, right? So, and I hate to say that in all fairness, to some extent you almost need it. But if you let a true free market develop, you will have people cornering it. However, when you have enormous demand regardless in some market, there's only so much manipulation you can do anyways, such as the gold and silver market. When people start demanding more and more physical, which they are, by the way, there's only so much this paper market can do, because it's going to reach the point where they can't supply the metal. And once they can't supply the metal, prices will have to skyrocket, and they're not going to be able to say, well, we're still manipulating it with paper without any ability to even print, without the ability to even supply you guys metal. So keep looking at our prices on our Chromex for the price today. When you can't even supply the metal, no, we're going to, China, you have any? We're going to go with those markets to set the price, right? So that's only to an extent. So it remains to be seen again what's going to happen. But as my thoughts were, I did say that I thought, my opinion would be that if they let the UK leave, the club wants this to happen, in other words, it is the perfect excuse to say, look what happened to the markets. And a few months from now, we might be saying, or I say we, the media and politicians potentially, but at least the media, in a few months from now could say, after the UK BRexit vote, they pulled it out, we've seen steady declines. We expected a short decline in the beginning, Paul, but this decline has continued, and now we've just learned, September, October timeframe, we've just learned that such and such, and end of the Shemitah cycle, Jubilee thing, markets are just absolutely being devastated today. They opened 10% down. We've never seen numbers like this, and it's, after the UK vote, it just kept pushing, and down market after down market, Paul, so that they can say, you see what you guys did in the UK? You guys are responsible for what has happened. This was my thought earlier. I've mentioned this a few times. And yes, it does remain to be seen if that's actually going to play out the way I'm thinking it just might. So, stay tuned.